you don't like puffin' and your situation's roughin', you can munch the mighty muffin with a jive cake stuffin'. Jive cake stuffin', no sense of roughing it. Jive cake stuffin' if you're toughin' it. Jive cake stuffin', no need for puffin' it. Jive cake stuffin' when you can muffin it. If you don't like puffin' and your situation's roughin', you can munch the mighty muffin with the jive cake stuffin'.
Hello there, how are you? I'm Watermelon, and welcome to my new cooking show, Baking a Fool of Myself. I have some great recipes we're going to discuss a little later on, but we are going to begin with cannabis conversion. It's very important that you convert your cannabis before you start to bake with it, and I'm going to explain to you why. In front of me is a bowl of our favorite medicinal plant. What I have here is the leaves and everything. You can use the buds if you want to, but they're generally cured for smoking and they're very expensive, only if you don't have access to the leaf. The leaf, you can use lots of it and you can generally get a lot of it. And if you get it, you might want to pull any big twigs out of it, but you know, you can use almost everything that's in there. The reason you need to convert cannabinoids is if you just ate them, the kidney would slough it off and it wouldn't produce the desired effect. What you have to do is you have to convert it. There's some scientific terms called isomotorization or cannabinoid conversion, where you actually have to convert the cannabis into something that your kidney can process and carry into the bloodstream. There's only two ways you can do this. You can either do it with a fat or an oil, or you can do it with alcohol. Today, I'm going to show you three techniques. We're going to use butter, which is the classic. I'm going to use a grapeseed oil, and I'm going to give you an alcohol infusion technique. And this is your basic foundation for getting started to bake with the medicinal plant.
Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby.
I'm going to start first by, I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to reduce it into a finer powder, and then we are going to add it into some oil. So you can just take a whole bunch of the leaf and we just put it in an awesome blender. If you don't have a great blender, this is a great blender. If you don't have a great blender, what I like to do is put it in a blender, grind it into a powder, and then put it into a coffee grinder and grind it into an even finer powder. This is going to do the job of a coffee grinder, but not everybody has like a state-of-the-art blender at home. It's really easy. Just put the dry powder in there, and then we turn it on. There we go. That's what you want. I like to get it really nice and fine because I like to leave the herb right in the baking. Some people like to extract it, and you can do that if you like. But I think there's no reason to take it out. It's an extra step. And if you can grind it into a super fine powder, then what I like to do after I grind it into a really fine powder, just to be certain that there's no other impurities in there, you can just take a any kind of sieve like this. I put it in and just again run it through again. This is so your baking comes out nice and clean and there's no big twigs or sticks or other foliage items in there. Here we go. And then you have this really beautiful, what I like to call is a shake flour, and you use it just like a flour in your baking.
Jive up. Jive up.
The first thing I think we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to convert this in butter. So very simply, we are going to cook it in a pot on the stove. You put that there. I'm making a recipe today that serves about 16 to 18 people. So a good rule of thumb is how much, when you want to have a serving size or portions, a good rule of thumb is generally about a half a gram to, if you really want to go hardcore, a gram, but I would not exceed a gram. I usually like to go about half gram, 3/4 gram per serving. So if I'm serving 16 people, I'm going to put in 10 grams, and I'm just going to put it in a scale, weigh up 10 grams. Oh, it's 11. It's fine. We'll weigh up 11 grams. You can put that into your pot. And you get butter, and you just put the butter in the pot. Here we go. And then I'm going to take it to the stove, and you're going to put it on low, and you're going to saute it on a really low heat for maybe 30 minutes at most, and this will start it converting. And then what will happen later is we'll actually put this butter into our baking, into our recipe, and then it'll go in the oven, and then it'll get converted again. The conversion keeps happening as the herb gets heated up in the fat. So let's go to the stove. I'm going to turn this on low, and you just can leave that there and let the butter melt and let it slowly simmer down. The other technique I like to use, a lot of people are vegans, not everybody likes dairy, so a great thing you can use is oil, and you can use any oil. I want to discuss the oil actually a little bit. I used to use olive oil, and olive oil is a great healthy oil, but when you cook olive oil, it actually gets rancid. It doesn't really like a high temperature. So I've switched to grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil, still all the nutritional benefit, like the olive oil, but it likes to cook at a higher temperature, and if it cooks at a higher temperature, you get more and more conversion. I'm going to give you this is a little bit technical about this cannabinoid conversion, but you want to cook your plant matter with your oil. You just want to bring it up to a boil. If it gets too hot and starts burning off and you see smoke, you've actually passed the conversion point and now you're burning it off, right? So you want to convert it into something called delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, blah, 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 as the scientists say. So that's why I use a grapeseed oil. It takes a higher heat without burning it off, therefore you get a better conversion. And I'm going to show you the greatest technique for this. Whoever invented the crock pot should get an award, because the crock pot is a great way to cook without being there. So all you need to do is take some shake. I didn't grind enough. I will quickly grind some more. And put it in there. It's going to be messy. It's always messy in the kitchen. That's some great blender. Let's quickly make sure it's sifted through. Do you see this? These little fuzzy things? That's fiber. That's what you're trying to get out of there. That's the fiber you don't want. You can make clothes out of it, but you don't want to make cookies out of it. I would like to just weigh again. It's always important so you know how much you're serving somebody. There's nothing worse than if, giving somebody too much and they get freaked out. And so it's always best to err on the side of caution and give them a little less. You can always go back for second, my mother's always says. I have 25 grams of shake there. The crock pot, excellent invention. Throw it in there. Throw your oil in there. Put the lid on. We just plug it in. I'll plug it in there. And then you can just leave it. Just leave that to cook. You want to leave it to cook for about 4 or 5 hours. Put it on low. You're going to occasionally want to stir it. Throw a little love in there because all baking needs a little bit of love. And then you can come back a couple hours later and you're ready to bake some fabulous recipes.
Cool out. Cool out. Cool out. And always smoke the best.
Our third cannabinoid conversion technique today is going to be an alcohol extraction. And what you're going to need for alcohol extraction is a couple of mason jars. You can get them anywhere. And before I begin, I like to mark the mason jars with which booze is put in there and what the date is. And you'll find out later why this is important. So just take some tape and mark on the lids. In this one, I'm going to put brandy. And in this one, we're going to put some gin. And this will come in handy about a month down the road when you've totally forgotten what you've done. So I suggest you do that. And if we're going to do an alcohol extraction, we're going to need some alcohol. A little gin and a little brandy. You can actually use any alcohol you like. I once used black Sambuca. Boy, was that ever good. Yep, here we go, the alcohol. Today we're going to make the gin and the brandy.
Hello, my darling.
Hi, Mom. Welcome home.
Are we having a party?
Yeah, it's the cooking show today. You look terrific.
Good. I'm here in time to help.
Yes, this is my mother, everybody, Mom, everybody. No, I don't need your help.
Oh.
That's fine. We discussed it before.
Okay.
I can do it on my own, but thank you.
All right, dear.
We'll see you in a little bit.
You bet.
Bye, Mama.
Bye, darling.
Oh, where was I? That was my mom. She's cute. This is a very simple thing. All you want to do for this technique is fill the mason jar full of leaves. And when you're extracting in alcohol, you can put twigs, everything. Everything can go in there. You can pack it tight. We just fill that one. Make sure I don't mess up the lids. So now we have 2 mason jars. The small one is gin. You just want to cover over all the botanicals on the inside. Put the lid on there. And we're making a brandy extraction today.
Did I hear brandy, darling? Did I?
Yeah.
A little, please?
Just a little sniff there for you.
That'll be nice, thanks.
It's barely lunchtime. This is how easy it is to convert it in alcohol. And I'm going to show you some techniques a little later, what you can do with this alcohol. You can drink it straight, but I'm going to show you some recipes you can put it into. Put your lids on nice and tight, and you're going to put this in. You actually want to put it just put it away in a dark place. And it doesn't necessarily need to be cool. If you need to speed up the time, like say you need this 2 weeks from now instead of a month from now, if it just sat on its own, I sometimes put it near a little heater. If you have a little heater in your house, I just put it near the heater. And what the heat does is it's kind of like cooking it on the stove. It actually helps it to extract faster. And now that you know all 3 techniques for converting cannabinoids, you are ready to start baking a fool of yourself.
Jive cake stuffing, jive cake stuffing, jive cake stuffing, jive cake stuffing. If you don't like puffin' and your situation's roughin', you can munch the mighty muffin with a jive cake stuffing.